Hi, Jon Horton here, head of goalkeeping for Wales women's teams, working with our seniors, under 17s, under 19s. Uh, Thanks for your questions. Hopefully, I can give you an insight into what I'm about and what our thought process is currently with our Wales women's teams. So, one of the first questions that you've asked is what are the attributes I look for in a goalkeeper? Um, Basically, across the board, whether it's male or female, I'm looking for very similar attributes. First one for me has got to be based around their athletic ability. Are they able to move? Are they agile? Are they fast? Are they powerful? If they're not all of those, that doesn't mean I write them off. It's about, can I create an environment for them to develop those areas? Do they show potential in those areas? The other area I look at is from a mental side, their willingness to learn and their desire to learn. Are they willing to take on board criticism as well as the positive stuff? Can they use criticism constructively to evaluate, self-reflect, and make changes to what they're doing? And it's having a little bit of that mental toughness. And then the other thing, physical bravery. You know, goalkeeping's a really, really tough position. It's injuries all over every part of your body, from hands, head, chest, legs. You know, all the outward injuries plus a few more can happen with a goalkeeper, and you've got to be physically brave to go put your body on the line and be willing to take those hits. So those are probably key attributes to learn, because a lot of the technical elements, if you've got those things, I believe I can coach those elements into goalkeepers. So next question: what exercises can I do at home to improve your agility and balance? Lots of things you can do, and try where you can involve a ball. It doesn't have to be a football, tennis ball, sponge ball. Even as small as a ping pong ball, and using a wall, throwing things, improving that hand-eye coordination, but throwing it to areas where you've then got to shuffle across. So throwing it on the angle, shuffle across and catch. Catch with your ball side hand, whichever side you're throwing it, that side. Then catching with your far side hand, so you've got to come across your body. Because again, this is about how you control your center of mass, and how you move your center of mass is for me really important with a goalkeeper. How can you transfer that heaviest part of our body in the middle there across us quickly but stay in balance? So lots of ball on a wall, whether it's throwing it straight against the wall or bouncing against the wall. I can recommend buying a Crazy Catch if you've got the money, bit of pocket money. Have a look at Crazy Catch. You can get smaller versions of those and using one of those. And then if you can, go on like Amazon and type in wobble board cushion. Get a couple of those. Again, do the same exercises while standing on those. You can do those exercises standing on one leg, on those, obviously left and right side, matching it up. They're really, really good because they force you to work hard on keeping your centre mass in your core in the right place and keeping your core strong, whilst catching balls, bouncing off the wall. We did in lockdown. We did a few sessions with the goalkeepers relating to having some coloured cones or markers. I mean, at the time the girls didn't have anything; they were using tin cans, boxes, but basically numbering things. Flower pots they used as well, putting numbers on them. You can set them in squares, in diamonds, in circles around you, and have somebody call the numbers, and you've got to react and move your feet. You might have to touch the cone, you might have to work around the cone marker, whatever it is, but always return back to center and set, and then work from there. It might be two numbers, so you go to one, go to the other, and back in. Those are really, really good exercises for improving your agility, and again, they are part of balance, because when you return into a set position, do you return into those positions balanced? So lots of stuff to do at home, and again, have a Google on YouTube, agility exercises, and there are loads of coaches around that put stuff on there from training. I put stuff on social media in the past showing these exercises. We also use a FitLight system, which replicates what you're doing with, as I said, coloured cones or markers, whatever. It replicates that, but I get times for that, so I can see reaction times. There's loads you can do. So, what makes an international goalkeeper? For me, I wouldn't really separate what makes a club goalkeeper and an international keeper, because if my next role is in a club, I'm going to look for the same things in a goalkeeper that I have at my club as I have done here with Wales. But ultimately, for the goals that we have in trying to qualify for major finals and things like that, we will look for experience where we can, maturity, because a lot of our games are big games, or I should say cup games. It's not like a season-long league where you can make a mistake and that's it. Often, we make a mistake and qualification, that can affect your qualification. So the remaining games in your group can be pointless as far as qualification is concerned. So we need that experience, maturity, and that's why we bring younger goalkeepers into our senior environment as well, to learn and bed in the international environment and work alongside experienced goalkeepers, experienced players. Then certainly tactical knowledge and game understanding is a big thing, because we often have to play not a fixed shape. We don't have this is our shape, this is how we play. We play to the opposition a lot based on what we need to get from the game. So having good understanding and knowledge of shape and how shapes change in a game, how your team animate their shape in and out of possession, even in transition. So do they have that knowledge and understanding? Because as a goalkeeper, we want them to see the bigger picture, and understand how they can affect it, so that we can ultimately keep clean sheets. And then that desire and willingness to want to be the best, because when they come into international environment with us, it's not about facilitating them for the time they're on camp with us. For me, it's always about, can I improve them as a goalkeeper? That they may be the number one at their club, but then I've got two number ones to pick to go as a number one. So I want them to be better and keep challenging each other all the time. So that desire to want to be the best and play at the highest level, and if they don't have that and they're comfortable in what they do, then they're not going to make it in the international environment. Controversial one here. Who is the best goalkeeper I've worked with and why? Probably going to be a little bit cheesy now, if I'm honest, and say there's no one individual, because the ones I've worked with all offer me as a coach something different in what I get back and what I'm able to push them with and challenge them with, because at the end of the day, for me as a coach, I get excited about seeing things done well and effectively with the right outcome. And all my goalkeepers can give me that in different ways, depending on whether we're working on high balls, diving, 1v1s, distribution, shot stopping, extended diving, out of range diving, in range diving, even down to the basics of footwork and handling. I get excited about seeing them do things well with positive outcomes. But I'd say overall, it's going to be the three seniors I currently work with, in Olivia Clark, Claire Skinner, who I worked with in my previous role at Reading Women, and also Laura O'Sullivan. As I said, they are very different, but they all give me something different that makes coaching for me a pleasure. So it is a bit cheesy, but I would say all three of them. That they'll give back to me in their feedback, stuff that helps me as a coach and helps me coach them better. They give me feedback that makes me feel good about my philosophy because they understand, and they pass that on to others. In their application, seeing them pull off that top save, that keeps us in a game. And then even, the emotional side of seeing them when they've made that error that's cost us a problem, and the relationship we have between us to be able to discuss and share those emotions. And I've had that with all three of them, whether it's been from a mistake in a game, whether it's been injury. Claire's been through a lot of shoulder injuries, had comebacks, and then the injuries occurred again. Same with Olivia. Laura's made mistake in a qualifying game, but it's how we've learnt from that together, that we are a very close-knit group, and that's why I have to say it's all three of those have been the best goalkeepers that I've worked with, because of the relationships we've built. And if there's another one real good attribute, is can you build that relationship with your coach that's positive, strong, and is a two-way thing that you can help each other be better and be the best. So your next question, interesting one, and it's a challenge across the board, and it's very different for each goalkeeper I work with because they all react mentally in a different way. So your question was based around how do I help the goalkeepers when they've made that error in a game. More importantly, it's how do they help themselves, because obviously in a game there's not a lot I can do to affect that. I can't go round to them pitch side. Yes, I can holler at them from the technical area, a little bit of positivity, but for me it's something we talk about in training, and in a build up to games we go through all the scenarios that can happen in a game, relating to the opposition, and if they make a mistake, it's basically they've got to box it, compartmentalise in their head, so they have to box it, move on, and remain in the game. Because if they start to self-reflect and analyse that and continue to do that for the rest of the game, then there's another error come in. That error could cost us the game if the first one hasn't. So for me, if it happens in a game, I'll be up in the technical area. I'll give them some verbal support to move on, as will the captain and their backline players. They'll stand behind the goalkeeper and support him all the way, because they see him in training day in, day out, doing the right things. Every player has an error in them, but it's then we will look at it after the game. We use a GoPro behind the goal, and we analyse that footage, and we'll discuss it maybe the next day if we're on camp. If not before, they'll analyse it at home, and then we'll have a chat either on the phone or video conference, or when we next meet on camp, to discuss what the reasons are, both technically, tactically, physically, for making that error. But one thing we have seen in the game is the effect of menstrual cycle on some of the errors that certainly our senior goalkeepers have made. So we also have to correlate that into how we go about it. But we remain positive all the time, and when we analyse, it's about being constructive in that analysis. So hopefully that helps, but it's more about on the pitch, how can you deal with it yourself? Can you just compartmentalise, move on, and stay in the game? What's the best thing about working with Welsh goalkeepers? Passion. There is a lot of passion in our group of goalkeepers and our squad as a whole, about being the underdog nation, so striving to be better and be the best. Other big thing for me with our Welsh goalkeepers is the environments they play in their clubs is below where they should be. And what I mean by that is I believe they should all be playing in WSL or Championship, and they're not for one reason or another. So the club environments they play in provide them with more limited goalkeeper training. So when they come into camp here, they've got a real passion to learn all the time and try new things or tweak things. They're not willing to just be happy with the norm. They want to go the extra mile, and we have a goalkeeping group on WhatsApp, and we'll watch women's football, WSL on the TV, and we see something that's good or bad, we video it. It goes on our group, and we have a discussion about it. So even when I'm away from them from camp, they're challenging me to help them, and they challenge themselves, and also looking at it and going, hey, I am good, and I can be better, and I should be doing this. I should be wearing these other people's shirts at these top clubs. And I love that about them. I don't have to come in and feel I've got to pander to a prima donna, because there's a mutual respect between me and them in what I can give them, and in return what they can give me as a coach, and we have a very, very strong relationship, and I love that, and that's what makes it great about coming and working with them in the Wales environment. This next question is a great question, and a big thing I've worked on with our goalkeepers over the year is how can I improve how high I jump, and it comes back to attributes I look into a goalkeeper. Do they possess that athletic ability? Are they physically built that way? Are they willing to change their physiology to help them do that? So the things we've done a lot on, and started introducing 18 months ago is a plyometric program, and I've worked closely with our sports scientist to come up with appropriate programs, because my senior keepers, we have Olivia, our youngest, then Claire, and then Laura, our eldest, all very different in their ability to jump. Claire is very, very athletic, very explosive. Laura less so, but she's more rangy. She's a little bit taller, she's got a bigger wingspan. And Olivia, our younger one, is somewhere in between the two of them. So she's quite rangy, but she is also quite athletic. But where she's younger, she's still got a little more work to do to develop her power, because of the current age she's at. So it's basically doing things like plyometrics, and again, there's loads of exercise you can see online But when you do plyometrics, I say to you, be focused on not how high you can jump or how far you can leap or bound. It's about, can you do it in control? Okay, and that's when you'll then start, once you can do it in control, then you can start focusing on, can I push a little bit higher? Can I be a little more aggressive in what I do? So initially that control comes back to what I talked about, being able to control your center of mass. Other stuff, if you are able to access a gym, is doing explosive work with gym. So lower weights and higher repetitions, but ideally you want to be doing this with a sports scientist who can come up with a program for you. But our girls will work on squats, but as I say, with a lower weight and higher reps and explosive movements up, and then controlling the down. And then from there, it's basically about, as well, keeping yourself in shape. Because again, I watch a lot of goalkeepers, and their physiology is holding them back from being able to do some of these things as well. So make sure you're looking after yourself, eating well and staying in shape, so that you can get those gains the right areas of your body, basically. Hope that helps. Well, there's been some great questions. Last one that you posed for me now. Um, why did I choose to work in the female game? It's a little bit about, I kind of fell into it, basically working at a community trust at Reading, working on the boys side of things. One of the coaches I worked with in that environment, he helped out with the women's team at Reading back then, and said to me, was I interested, and would I come along and do a session, and from there it kind of snowballed, and the club were moving forward and developing. Jane Ludlow came in to manage the team at that point, and I was inspired by her passion and desire and drive to take the women's game forward, having played in it for many years as she did at the top level with Arsenal, and also captain in Wales, and her belief of where we could take the game, and the players we were working with at Reading, made me think, hell, why not? Let's give this a crack, and can I bring something to the women's game that maybe I can't in the men's game, because of the type of environments they are, in being sort of very testosterone male driven. Can I offer the women's game something different? And it has been a really enjoyable ride, through my club football with Reading Women, and into this job now, and seeing the game evolve, and evolve with it, because myself as a coach, from when I started with Reading, I've been able to challenge myself and move on, and the female game has offered me a very different insight that I've taken onto coaching courses and through my coaching qualifications, and I've been able to share with other coaches. So, the female game, yes, is on the up. Does it need to do more? Yes, it does. The biggest and hardest thing is how we can attract more people to come and watch the game. So financially going forwards, it becomes more viable and stable in its growth. But for me, I often say to people, I don't look at my goalkeepers as females. I look at them as goalkeepers. They're not male, they're not female, they're goalkeepers. And a lot of the work I do is about developing their goalkeeping ability. Do I have to vary some of the things because of the physiological differences? Yes. But some of those things are the same in the men's game, because you can have very different goalkeepers in your group there. But I've enjoyed my time in the women's game and continue to and hope to do so going forwards.